You gotta get that man the introduction he deserves.
I mean, we're live, but it is what it is. This is the Draft Season Podcast. This is your boy Young Raz, and let me take a step back. Like, y'all know where I'm coming from. I don't have to bury the lead anymore. We in Queens, New York. That's what we do. But this is a very international episode today. You know, we was international last week. You know, north of the border or whatever. We was in Canada, but we across the pond today. The original imperialist. The original manifest destiny. We coming live. What part of tell them who you are. Tell them what part of the pond you at, so we can get really thorough before I
hold on. No, we not done yet. We not done yet. This man, because hold on, we got my brother, my dog, the filthiest man across the pond himself, the bloke of all blokes on the podcast today. My brother Dan Krishan, you could catch him. You can follow him on Twitter at Dan. Tell the people where they can follow you on Twitter, my man.
I need to update my Twitter handle, but it is Krishan_Mamba24.
Real Kobe vibes. We'll get to that later though. But yes, sir. Krishan does host. He's the host of the Cop and Fracas podcast, which you can check out all things about Liverpool. Those boys do great commentary over there, and they got all the banter. But like I said, it's a pleasure to have my brother Krish on the show. Always we've definitely connected on the pod stuff and previously. It's been too long. Shame on me for taking this long to get my brother on the show. But Chris, welcome to the Draft Season Podcast. Long overdue. How you doing, my brother?
I'm all good, my brother. I'm all good. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you very much for the nice introduction. Glad to be here. Glad to still be awake to be on. But no, man. Looking forward to getting
12:30 in UK. Sound like a Drake song, right?
And you know it, man.
Yeah, I mean, we're not gonna go back into Drake. We had a Drake discussion last week, so we're gonna leave that out there. We can probably talk some of that drill shit if you bump it. But not to bury the lead. My other man's is here. My nigga Ezel45 coming live from Southside Jamaica, Queens. He is I wouldn't say he's the dirtiest nigga in Southside because that's a terrible place.
Oh so, no.
Yeah, he's a stand-up guy. Giant fanatic Mets fan. He only watched the Knicks for the theater, but he support us from time to time. He signed up with the Nets, so we'll talk about that later. But my boy Ezel45, talk to him.
What's going on, fellas, man?
Back in the building.
Talk about boat footballs today, so I'm happy.
Word. That's a great point, man. Yeah, we discussing both footy. So we had to kick this off and start off with the other football. Because like I said, shout out to America's game, or not America's game, the world's game. Pardon me, the world's game, soccer. And I've definitely picked up the footy stuff along the years, and really started to appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? When I was younger, I was on my, dirty American soccer sucks, but I was young, naive, and stupid. So soccer is actually a great game. But I wanted to have Chris on the show, and we definitely wanted to bring the fans a little more, EPL soccer content in the future, and we definitely gonna have some more soccer stuff previously afterwards. I mean, little quick show rundown, but we are going to get into mock draft Monday. So we're going to get into all things. We'll be drafting the Giants and the Jets and previewing what we would do if we were in their shoes this Thursday when the NFL draft starts. But yeah, parlaying this back to Chris. So the Super League, man, is really one of the biggest stories in the world over the past week. And it's kind of crazy to see how, grand opening, grand closing, what I'm saying? There's a lot of, capitalism is a disease, and it's showing its ugly head once again with the Super League. But from somebody who follows this much closely than me or Raz might, what was basically your views on everything going on with the Super League? How would you describe it to those who might not understand the politics and the underlinings of what's going on, and I guess the dangers of the Super League?
So the funniest thing So the funniest thing was, like, as soon as the Super League kind of got announced, everyone basically turned into Rios with the fake capitalism, which was like really funny in terms of, we need to give these small teams a chance. We need to let people kind of earn things by merit. So the original Super League concept really came into play about 2009, and it was Florentino Perez from Real Madrid who kind of explored that, just in terms of all the commercials, just from where football was going and the need for a different league. It was also interesting as well, kind of like 2016 range. It kind of popped back up again. Weirdly enough, it was Stephen Ross from the Dolphins who kind of helped orchestrate a lot of that from a Premier League point of view. But this really just popped up kind of like overnight, really. It came out of thin air, and escalated so quickly that a statement got put out about 11:30 on a Sunday evening that the main clubs within European football were all kind of disbanding from UEFA competition to set up this European Super League, which essentially would be the main gripe of it was that the founding members of this Super League could not be disqualified from this competition via relegation or not being able to qualify. So all the people who were signed up to this, so Liverpool, Manchester City, Manchester United, Arsenal, Chelsea, for some reason Spurs, from an English point of view, these guys were all guaranteed a space in this competition. And then you had obviously Real Madrid, Barcelona, AC Milan, teams like that too. So it's essentially what you want from a Euro. For me, really, it's what you want from a European competition. It's the best teams consistently playing each other on a regular basis. But obviously, people weren't happy with that just simply because what if an underperforming team kind of has their Rudy moment? Kind of like similar to like what Leicester did a few years ago, where they win the league and then they qualify for the Champions League. It doesn't give them a good basis for them to build on in terms of what they want to do from a future planning point of view, that they can't break into this exclusive club. So all the top kind of like sports outlets in England, especially Sky Sports, BT, they were so vehemently against the idea that it basically just got shut down within the space of 48 hours. Pretty much everyone withdrew. And apologies were made. So it ended up being a glorious shit show, in my opinion, because I really warmed up to the idea of a Super League literally about 2 hours since it got announced. And I was like, okay, cool. It's going to be this really cool exclusive club where you just can see the best players and the best teams kind of go up against each other on a consistent basis. So it was sad to see it come down in a smoke of flames, but for me personally, it's just opened the door to a wider conversation about kind of how regulation in football needs to be reformed and just how football in general just needs to be looked at, really. Because I mean, shit, you guys know FIFA, UEFA, they're the most like corrupt things ever known to man.
As fuck, yeah.
It's crazy. And all these guys were screaming about, we need equality and whatnot in the game when there's a World Cup being hosted next year in Qatar where about 6,000 laborers who are working on this project have all died from human rights abuses. Mm-hmm. So you can't kind of like, kind of throw stones when you live in a glass house. And again, from a UEFA point of view as well, they're trying to bring in a new Champions League format, which is called the Swiss model. And the point that people are arguing is that, with the founding members for the Super League, they wouldn't be able to be relegated. But for this new model that they're bringing in 2024, it's more games that the teams have to play. So they have to play about 5-6 more group games in the competition. And if an elite is what is classed as an elite team doesn't qualify for the competition, they automatically get a bye into next year's competition, regardless of where they finish, because of their coefficiency. So it doesn't kind of negate that that kind of legacy or elitism bias that they have in there. So it's pretty far from across the board. And of course, one of the main drivers for this was the money aspect of things too. A lot of football, exactly, man. It's billionaires making billionaire decisions, and boy, the xenophobia really showed its head over here in terms of the narrative was it's American owners driving this initiative because they want kind of football clubs to be more like franchises, which isn't a bad thing for me. Because the way the football is aired in this country is really barbaric. There's no concept of a NBA League Pass. You're dictating what games you can and can't watch. So on a normal basis,
that's kind of crazy, man. When you say it like that, like, bro, I mean, because like people, because isn't Sky Sports basically like the main distributor of Premier League, correct?
Yep, 100%. So over here you have 3 distributors of Premier League games. So you've got Sky Sports, which is the main one, where most of the games are broadcast. Then you've got BT Sports, who have 2 games over the weekend. And then you've got Amazon that have the odd game now and then. So they had 2 clumps of games that were obviously streamed on Prime and on Twitch as well. But all of these require a subscription. So you're paying on a yearly basis just to watch these on TV. Yeah. You're paying
that's counter to what soccer basically like is built is upon. And that's kind of the craziest part of me, because like I feel like in America, as consumers, we're so used to the status quo. We're so used to hungry, killer billionaires making, like you said, billionaire decisions that we wouldn't even have bro, think about all the, not to cut you off, Raz, but think about all the, the pain and suffering that even a New York sports fan is going through with Woody Johnson or James Dolan. The idea of people really going to like the Chelsea supporters went outside Stamford Bridge and really actually boycotted and let them know their displeasures. And it's a super interesting dynamic, just the differences between American and UK football and how they would have reacted. Because I think for us, we would have just been I guess, and just moved on. And Super League would have been a thing of nature. But yeah, like you said, it was just absolute, everybody hated it. But Raz, I don't know if you want to jump in there with anything else. I know you tried to get in there.
No, yeah, I'm just saying, we're so used to blackouts. We can't watch games we can't watch our local teams if you don't have a local cable package. We're used to all of that, but
yeah,
just even on our side, just trying to watch the Premier League, it's so difficult over here. It's I can't even find streams on my streaming sites, the illegal ones that I'm trying to get stuff on. It feels like everything is so heavily regulated, and then NBC decided to not just have it on NBC anymore. They subsetted it to Peacock, so it's you gotta have NBC and Peacock, and then half the time Peacock is hard to get. It's just one of those things where it's watching the Premier League is awful in America. It's one of those things where I just can't. I want to watch Man City, it's hard, but I'm stuck watching whatever game is on.
That's the worst thing about it. You the way that they try to grow the Premier League in general is actually terrible. Every single concept that they could do badly, they have done. From selling TV rights in /league, and then you're putting things behind it in even further paywall. That doesn't help you grow the brand first and foremost, as opposed to the game in those respective territories. So they've just done things so wrong, and I think the owners kind of got really fed up about it. So it's a way to take control back. And the main issue again is money. A lot of the things are equally distributed. So the TV money is split out, obviously, evenly between all the teams. But a lot of these contracts wouldn't get fulfilled if, say, Manchester United, Liverpool, and Arsenal are the three teams that collectively contribute to TV rights against all across the world, because they have the three biggest fan bases. So they should really get a bigger slice of the pie, if that makes sense, because they're helping brokering these deals. And the fact that they can't obviously show their games on their own individual packages, and there's not a Netflix service available for it as well. So I completely get why they did it. It does go against pretty much every single fabric about what football is about. Football, these clubs are kind of beacons of the community, and they reflect what they're about. And especially Liverpool as well. Because Liverpool's such a socialist city. It kind of has these values ingrained in the club. And I think a lot of people really felt betrayed by the fact that they were trying to kind of make this game a bit more commercial. But again, the whole concept of football,
was it not already? That's the thing, and I feel that ideal, it lives to the upfront. But there's a lot of when we're talking about these sharks in business, I feel like on the pitch it's pure. Outside of the pitch is when all of the politics and everything else comes into it. So I guess one thing I do think we can move on a little bit into our actual mock draft Monday and get into a little NFL stuff. So I think even starting it off right here, Chris, I'll keep the baton with you, my brother. And once again, shout out to everybody listening on the Periscope. But Chris, so I think we're a couple days out from the NFL draft. But what are the biggest storylines that you're following, or you're most interested in following these next couple days that you think are going to unfold on draft night?
The two big ones for me, and it's sad that one of them is even in the situation that it is obviously where Justin Fields going to land. That's the biggest one for me. He's clearly, for me, he's the second best quarterback in this class. And the fact that we're discussing him possibly being the fourth one selected is massively insane. But we'll definitely talk about that a little bit more later on. And the second one is the funniest one, is what quarterback are the 49ers going to take at number 3 overall. Yeah. So those are the two big ones for me.
Ezel, jump in there, man. What are your topics? I know we spoke.
I feel like we asked him this on the.
Yeah, that's what we spoke briefly.
Yeah. Basically, so I think the skill players after the quarterbacks, after the five quarterbacks, like Parsons and the corners and a little bit about the tackles too, because I think there's some value at tackle that's probably going to fall.
So I think for me, my question for you, Denzel, as we get to this for the mock draft simulator. So a little if you're watching on the Periscope, we definitely gonna upload this on YouTube if you're listening to this on the podcast. So definitely check this out for the visual component of the actual show. So on today's show, we're gonna be doing a mock draft. We're gonna have a war room actually set up on the show today. So Raz will be drafting for the New York airplanes, for the New York fast planes.
Very fast planes.
I was for the very fast planes. Okay, the Rosedale Jets. You drafted for the Rosedale Jets. Denzel and Chris will be actually the war room for the actual. I couldn't even keep a straight face. That's whew. But Denzel and Chris will be the war room for the actual Giants, and I'll be popping in and out moderating. But Denzel, so I think before we get into the actual, and you can pull up the simulator at this point, Raz. So for you, Denzel, I think a little recap of the Giants offseason. What would you make of the offseason, and what would you make of this roster? I think it is a very interesting conversation, and shout out to our homie, friend of the show, family of the show, my brother K. Lou. You know, we
very fast planes. I tried to tell you, man.
You know, we get into these conversations about Giants first Jets, and Raz, you know, I mean, is Giants first Jets a rivalry? Not really, you know, but we get into this like, is Yankees versus Mets really a rivalry? No, but you know, it's a little, you know, the NFL is just a different playing field than baseball. So, you know, Giants versus Jets is a little different. Now, why do I think this is actually topical? Is because if we go back to the Saquon Barkley draft, both of these teams were in the middle of rebuilding. They're in the middle of basically like they had to turn over an entire roster and get talent into there. So my just question is, as we are going to be focusing on both the Giants and the Jets on today's show, you know, what are our outlooks on both of these teams? And you know, the funny thing is, people talked about the Giants taking the running back number 2 and how that will hamstring a franchise. But as we sit here 3 years after that draft, Sam Darnold is gone. Saquon Barkley's coming off an ACL injury. All right, we can stay on the value of those picks. But what do you make of both of these franchises and where they're at? Who is closer to get back to success and, you know, productivity on the field and respectability? And what would you make of the Giants offseason in general? So where you at with this, Denzel, right now?
All right. So first things first, I just want to shout out the Giants accountant because I don't know where he made that money appear from or how he made it appear, because going into the offseason, I didn't think we was going to be able to get any free agents, to be honest. But we let Dalvin Tomlinson go. So I think that was actually a move that we needed to do because we couldn't afford to pay him and Leonard Williams.
Yeah.
You know, and then we finally was able to get Daniel Jones some help on the outside. So I think that's pretty big. And so the restructured his contract for this season. So we was able to buy a little bit more space. So I'm coming into the offseason, I was very pessimistic about the Giants this offseason, but the moves they made and a couple of the smart ads we made and a couple of the smart cuts we made, I think this draft is going to be a good situation for us.
All right, so Raz, I'll get you in here on this, Raz. So same question for you. I mean, if you want to do the sibling rivalry thing, your thoughts on that. But overall, where are you with this Jets roster? You know, my and even sticking here for one more second, my whole thing during that entire draft cycle, and you know, I didn't lose much sleep over the Saquon pick. We like I said, we could argue about draft picks and value, but you know, to me, both of those teams had 3-4 year rebuilds ahead of them. So, and at the start of a rebuild, I'm not really gonna like lose sleep over that. So, but where are you at with all of this right now, Raz, with the current state of affairs for the New York football franchises?
So, I mean, for the, you know, just on the other side of the locker room in Jetland, it's just one of those things where it's like we go back to that draft, right? There's a lot of different for us where there's still a lot of same for the Giants, right? The same people still in charge. I mean, I got a new coach, cool, but like the up top is still intact. We had to get a whole new overhaul. You know, like we had Gase, we had McCagan, like we had like so much just had to get rooted out of the Jets, right? So those last 3 years don't exist to me. Like those last 3 years don't exist to me. This nigga Malk, we traded up for Darnold. Yes, we did. It wasn't. It clearly wasn't great. I do think. They
really did, man. That's the funny thing.
I do think Darnold will find some success elsewhere, but like that is what it is. God bless him. He's not on the team no more. So with the Jets, I mean, it's one of those things where this offseason, I like the moves they made. I don't have any issues with them. They fortified that line.
Long career ahead of him in the CFL. Fact.
Yeah. So our defensive line, you know, Carl Lawson, like.
Oh damn!
And Raz's went straight. He just, bro, he got the Thanos snap of the finger and was poof. But Raz is back. My brother Raz is in the stream.
Struggling.
I accidentally clicked back as I was going through my notes, so everybody forgive me. That was a real amateur move. We definitely need to upgrade the budget so we can get a producer, so things like that don't happen. But back to what I was saying, like Vinny Curry on the bargain bin, like I love that. You know, Lawson, I think, you know, you take a chance on somebody that's a rising player. I think Salah's gonna be able to use him in that system. Tevin Coleman, great buy low. He's not gonna be an every down back, but he's explosive, and that's something you need on this team. We don't have that. Keelan Cole, very underrated pickup. You know, he's going to be very useful. Whatever receiver we make him, fourth or fifth. Corey Davis, the elephant in the room. I think he's going to be very helpful to the quarterback that we have, and I think it's also one of those things where you're trying to get in early on a player that's rising. And then, you know, a lot of the bargain bin signings, they were whatever for depth. I think it's going to come down to what we really do in these next two drafts. And, you know, there's going to be some cap casualties. You might see somebody like Brian Poole get cut. You might see somebody like Jamison Crowder, unfortunately, get cut as they look to just free up some space and kind of spread it out around the rest of the team, because we need corners. We need pass rush. We need offensive line. So these things are going to have to come from somewhere. So I just, you know, I'm very hopeful on what Joe Douglas has planned for the draft, because he kind of just seems like a dude who has a plan, right? He seems like somebody who's not going to deviate from whatever he has on paper. So I'm at least willing to see somebody build something out for once instead of, you know, trying to get to the fast fixes.
Yeah, man. So I think we can get to the simulation that we're gonna do. Like I said, Raz will be drafted for the Jets, and Denzel and Chris will make up the actual Giants war room. Once again, shout out to everybody listening. I'm watching in the Periscope. Shout out to you, man. If you in the building, you know, come chill with the boys. You know, I'm sipping on Migos, Casamigos. So if my words are slurring by, you know, like a 45 minutes in, there's why. But you know, we in the building today, so. Getting into this actual simulation. So Raz, you will be taking away for the Jets. So I mean, like you said, you already said what the deal is for. Yeah, there's no surprise for me on number two.
I mean,
now we can get into the why for a moment. We can get into the. Do you agree? For a moment, we can
talk about it.
We can get into the, you know, Woody Johnson is a cabinet member of the Trump, you know, the Trump establishment, the Trump White House. I believe he was the international something about diplomacy.
Was he over the seas in your
hood? Something about international diplomacy. That's the man they sent over to deal with foreign affairs. So, you know, he's definitely in Trump's back pocket. So, I mean, let's just call a spade. You know what I'm saying? Somebody, a man of that nature, you know, like I believe, you know, he showed his cap at this point to where if he has a preference, you know what I'm saying? I believe he's gonna go with, you know, blonde hair, blue eyes, Zach Wilson, instead of getting himself a nigger on as a franchise quarterback, part of my French. But, you know, where are you at on it, Raz? Are you just, you know, every Jet fan I talk to at this point is just like irrational and talking themselves into it, whether or not they want it? You know, it's been a roller coaster 8 months from, you know, the Greg Williams game, that Hail Mary from shout out to HBJ. That Hail Mary Greg Williams game, you know, to Ruggs, I believe. You know, it's been a while from Tank from Trevor to, you know, Fields is the one, and now we're on this Zach Wilson thing. So, you know, speak now or forever hold your peace, Raz. If you're gonna just go along with the dying ship, you know, this tape will be used against you in the future.
I understand. Everything we say on here is on wax. So for all my haters, you know, any take that we got, you know, is here. So, you know, subscribe to the YouTube, you know, leave us 5 stars, and you can really hate on me. But I think what it comes down to for Zach Wilson, right? I prefer Justin Fields, if we're being honest. I prefer
Governor.
I prefer Fields for sure, right? Just because, like, my eyes aren't lying to me, right? Like, he played against elite talent, and he was an elite talent. Like, what he did in those big moments, Justin Fields, he's very good at what he does, right? Now, when it comes to Zach Wilson, he's a step below Justin Fields in my eyes, but I see the allure, right? Other than the blonde hair, white eyes, like the Führer, like other than that, like I think it's one of those things where it's like I see the vision, right? I would prefer us to take Justin Fields, but if this is who you set on with the arm talent, the creativity that he has, the accuracy, cool. Like if that's what you're set on, then we have to build around him the right way. We can't go in there and do what we did with Darnold. Like you can't just leave him out there to dry with no resources.
That's the bigger question mark for me. Like, yeah. I mean, I guess but it's the Jets. So like people are giving me this, different regime. They deserve the benefit of the doubt. No, the same niggas hired them, bro. I can't give the benefit of the doubt when they showed me time after time. I wouldn't trust the Jets to make me, a chopped cheese from the bodega, let alone tell me like to pick a franchise quarterback and go against the grain from what a lot of people are saying, that they wouldn't do. But that's just me personally.
Yeah, but I mean, it seems like the whole fucking world has soured on Justin Fields, which we could allude to the racism. Yeah. So I feel we know what it is.
It's coming from NFL circles though. So it's just like people are saying, we're just like, is this X's and O's things where all of these criticisms are coming from tape? It can't be, because like I said, Justin Fields, like if you only watch, if 2020 was your first introduction to Justin Fields, which it should not be because he's been a prestige prospect for years now. Like I said, 1A to 1B for Trevor Lawrence since he came up. His 2019 tape is immaculate. It's immaculate. He played great in those games, except for basically his last game of that season against Clemson, that first Clemson game. But yeah, Raz. I mean, that's just my thing. I just don't trust the Jets. Zach Wilson is a very good prospect in his own right.
That's what I'm saying. It's hard to trust the Jets. It's hard to trust the Jets, but like at the end of the day, Zach Wilson is still a good prospect, right? Like you're saying, like he's a good prospect. So it comes to now we're trusting the Jets to develop it, which is but it's one of those things where it's like I have no choice, right? It's not like I'm leaving. Well, who the fuck I'm gonna root for, bro? Like so, I have to buy in at some point. So it's just like. I'll buy in on Thursday. When they call his name and he walks across the stage and whatever, I'll buy in on Thursday. And I was about putting the rest like that second pick. I don't give a fuck what's going on with that second pick because I know what's going on. It's about 20. It's about 23 and everything else going forward. Like I need to see what we do with the rest of the boatload of picks that we have.
But like Sean, I got a question. Like with Zach Wilson, what pick range do you think that he actually belongs in? Like when you watch him.
So that's the interesting part about it, Denzel, because in general, quarterbacks do not go typically. Like when we have the PFF scale right there. We talk about positional value, and it's not a secret that quarterbacks all have the positional value. And the theory of if you have a question about is he your franchise guy, just take another high end blue chip guy in the first round. It makes sense. I do think there are issues that can wear its head about building a roster that way. About the Jets. If you take two quarterbacks in the top five in like a 4 or 5 year span, that does play a part in how the rest of your roster will shape up in terms of elite talent around you. For me, I do think but. For me, when I looked at it, and not to, I think Zach Wilson and Mac Jones both look a little less, attractive compared to Fields and Lawrence from my personal point of view. Now, I would probably have Zach Wilson as a mid to late first rounder, and Mac Jones as a late first rounder. Personally, but that's not how it works in the NFL when there's actually a thirst and entire organizations are parched to find their next face of the franchise. What would you say, Denzel? Do you think? But like in terms of talent, like I do think they're like guys that will have more production right away, for their respective positions that come in that'll be more valuable than Zach Wilson, and he is closer to he's still a work in progress himself to where that's my thing because it's about who we're giving the benefit of the doubt to. Zach Wilson is a work in progress, and yes, things needs to improve on. When we talk about decision making and trying to fit balls into tight windows at the next level, it can turn on him pretty quickly to where a lot of those reads that he was making in at BYU, he's not going to have the same leeway at the NFL. So I mean, for you, Denzel, what would be your take on that?
For like Zach Wilson, like if we're taking out like positional value out of the equation, I would say he's just probably like a top 10 pick. I think he's like just at the end of that first 10 pick. But compared to like Mac Jones, where they like he's currently the favorite to go 3, I don't think he's a top 15 pick. I think he's end of the first round at best. Like if I'm a team drafting, to be honest.
Yeah. So yeah, I think even so, Raz, let's run the simulator. We already know for the sake of realism, I suppose Zach Wilson at 2. So we're gonna simulate the rest of the draft. We're just gonna do Jets and Giants for this.
So yeah, just for the people watching on the YouTube, basically, all right, if you're listening to, which is ridiculous, but if you're listening, we're gonna go moderately speed on the draft so everybody can see what's going on. Care for position of value, we're somewhere in the middle, closer to less, because we're gonna be a little radical on this show. Randomness, we don't need randomness. PFF be wilding. So if we're going random, you'll fuck around and see Devontae Smith go number 1. We're gonna lean more towards drafting for needs, and we're not trusting the PFF board. Yes, PFF, we are slending y'all can't do nothing about it. So we're gonna start. Before we get started, my Giants delegation, are y'all interested in making any pre-draft trades?
I feel like let's let it ride. I think we should just let it ride out and see what we do with 11. Yeah, I feel like we don't have a history of trading, so.
Nah, Gettleman don't like to get fleeced. You know how that goes.
Gettleman not trading back. He's not trading back. So once again, for the sake of realism. For the sake of realism.
Bet we're gonna start the draft right here. Trevor Lawrence, number 1. Seems real. I will select begrudgingly Zach Wilson.
Dr. Umar face.
Justin Fields has went 3 in this. So we have Justin Fields at number 3, Kyle Pitts number 4, Jamar Chase 5, Penei Sewell number 6, Surtain number 7, Devontae Smith 8 to the Panthers. Congratulations, Sam Darnold. You have a lot to throw at over there. Trey Lance to go take what's his name's job? Sean's man's. Jalen Waddle.
Stop it.
Jalen Waddle to the Cowboys, which is out
so not to cut you off here, Raz, but I do think for Chris and Denzel, I will ask you this question because we not to bury the lead, but in this particular, I mean I can't see the Giants. I mean the Cowboys taking the receiver at 10 is like absurd.
That's wild.
They're not taking it.
You see, I didn't think they was taking one last year though. So,
I mean, but they can't. I mean, Jerry Jones is a lunatic, and I assume he's probably going to be twisted off the finest Johnny Walker Blue label that you can find. So, I mean, him taking it, him making the call to Goodell, be like, "Yeah, give me Waddle." I mean, I don't think if it happened, it wouldn't be too surprising. But this just doesn't make too much sense. So, Christian Denzel, our Giants contingency in the war room. My question for you in this particular scenario, Waddle and Devontae Smith are off the board. Now, my question for you is, hypothetically, if they were on the board, where would you guys go if they both were there? Chris, I'll start with you.
It's such a tough question because
it's a preference.
It's about what you think you can get the most out of in your system. So, for me, I personally go Devonta Smith. He's got safe hands. He can play. I think he'd be perfect in our offense for me. I don't think the way. Well, first and foremost, it's Jason Garrett's offense. So putting Waddle in a Jason Garrett offense would just be it'd just be haram.
It's hard for me. It's hard for me to get excited about this Giants team as long as Jason Garrett is on the offensive staff. Bro, like I want to go a rational Giants fan, but like I'm gonna just be humble until that redhead dude is fired. But my bad, my brother. Continue.
No, not a problem. I've got a preference of Devonta over Waddle. I just don't think you could get the same usage out of Waddle in our current system. And I think you currently look at what we've got at wide receiver now. You've got Golladay, which is great. He's prone to the odd injury now and then. Sterling Shepard, it's a weird one with his contract situation because he can be a limited cap hit from next year, and obviously he's got the history of concussions. If that does come back up again this year, you're going to need a replacement. Someone can play as capable on the outside as they can play on the inside too. And you've got Darius Slayton as the third option there. So I think if Devonta Smith was on the board, I would lean that way. But if they also go Jalen Waddle, I wouldn't be too fussed.
Denzel, how about you, bro?
Funny enough, like I'm not as high on Waddle as other people are, to be honest. Like in that position, I definitely think I'm going Smith because I just think his ball skills, I think is the best ball skills in the draft, to be honest. Like to have that type of level of playmaker, and you already seen like he has the production. Like with Waddle, I haven't seen him do it over the course of a full season of being the guy.
Fair enough. Hold that though. Fair enough. Partially is that the injury. Partially of that is he played on the same team with Bruggs and Judy last year, and John Mechie, and Devontae was there as well. My only thing to that, which I think it's a fair point, he hasn't done it. But like when I was watching, when I dove headfirst into the Mac Jones film, McCorkle,
McCorkle Jones. Yeah.
Those first, I want to say like 4 or 5 games before the man with 2 DUIs, before the Jalen Waddle got hurt, like you can make an argument that he was the most impactful receiver on that Alabama team. Like it's an argument. Like I even if I was looking at the stats, I think it's interesting. But you can't continue. I just had to throw that in there about I think Devontae did get him in terms of like overall production, but I think even Devontae, like he could have possibly like cannibalized his Heisman if Waddle stayed healthy over the course of the season with the type of splash plays and downfield, just straight, vertical beating on cornerbacks that he was doing, particularly that Missouri game for Jalen Waddle, which is insane. But yeah, Denzel. So I think even staying right here, so the Giants had 11 at the scenario. So Raz, we can cycle through the best available right now. So we got Michael Parsons. Yeah, go ahead, Raz.
No, I'm saying best available. Got Parsons, Slater, who I do love. Christian Barmore, which I got a report on Bleacher Report saying that teams are wary about his coaching ability, being able to be coached. McCorkle's here, tackle for Virginia Tech is here. I love Morig, but I mean that's very high for him. Bateman, who I'm very high on, J.C. Horn, very high on him. So I mean, there's a lot of talent here, and just for shits and giggles, because we know. These are the teams that are interested in that 11th pick. The Washington football team
trading with the racist team from DC.
The New York Jets at 23. Are interested in moving up.
We're not interested in moving down. We're not interested
Cleveland Browns, Detroit Lions, and the 49ers. So you guys are gonna keep them picks. So
yeah, Gettleman's gonna keep that pick. So War Room, talk to me, Chris. Where are you at? Where are you leaning? Chris, Denzel. You guys can't go back and forth about what you guys are thinking. So BPA, best player on the board. Where are you guys at with it?
Wait, Chris, where's your head at? I got to see where you coming from. Let's see here.
I like the idea of Micah Parsons and the actual player.
Okay.
Giants never like they
haven't
just don't value the
they just don't value, bro.
They just don't value the linebacker position
after the first round.
Great question. Go ahead, Denzel. I'll look it up while you're going, bro.
Cole Banks. I'm pretty sure Cole Banks is the last linebacker.
It was the last linebacker they took in the first round. It was Cole Banks, which is insane.
I'm a big Parsons fan, to be honest. I feel like he fills, and then like he fills a lot of our needs. Like he can also pass rush. He gives us an explosive playmaker.
That sideline to sideline coverage right there, and he making tackles. And he can do it all.
I love
you
Parsons.
You haven't had a linebacker in quite some time, man.
So I'm not sold on his coverage. That's the one thing. So if you look at it, what kind of tight ends is he covering?
Not the good ones, but I mean, he'll definitely make some tackles for you.
Well, this is the thing though. So
I mean, you can go Slater here and shore up the line too, right? You can have hold on, but yeah, like you could definitely go Slater and book in your line. You have Thomas and Slater going forward for the next 10 years.
So yeah, the only thing I think Parsons is good. He's a good player. For me, he's more Anthony Barr than Miles Jack.
Okay,
I'll take that.
which is good, but I think which is not a bad thing.
I'm for me, the pick is between Parsons and Slater.
Yeah, I agree.
But I'm leaning Parsons because I feel like we crave that type of defensive playmaker on the second level of our defense. Because Martinez is solid.
Yeah. No,
but he doesn't make those plays that can change a game consistently. And I think Parsons would give us that level of player.
So if we're putting Parsons as a kind of like designated pass rusher in that Graham system, I think it definitely works.
But he also has the versatility.
That's the thing. So he can play that kind of Jabril Prepper spot in the defense as well, if need to be. The Slater one is quite interesting though, because he can play all three positions. He's got the versatility.
We're gonna have to walk your card to the podium soon, guys.
No, that's fair. That's fair.
The Vikings, those are the Mike Tyson when they expired, their pick expired.
I want Parsons, but I won't be mad if you go the other way. It's up to you.
So what y'all thinking, man? Final pick is in contingency.
I mean,
what y'all thinking?
He be teabagging people, but let's go Michael Parsons.
Let's go.
Denzel.
Parsons.
I'm a tiebreaker if anything.
Parsons. I'm going Parsons.
Go Parsons. I think the Giants had a good, really they need a bounce back season from Will Hernandez, probably from one of the guard positions. But I do think a second year of Andrew Thomas, and I think Matt Peart, if he develops into a starter, it puts us in a much better position on the line. So I would go with you guys on the Parsons pick, having somebody who it also makes the line a strength, like Williams and Parsons could really flexible actual guys who can do a lot on the field. So Raz, we're at this pick 23. This is where the draft really starts for the Jets. So pick 23, you're in the war room. What you thinking?
So I mean, if this is what I'm looking at, I'm in the war room right now. Bateman's on the fucking board right now. Like, do I need a wide receiver? Probably not. But Bateman is on the board right now. I can't. Nobody wants to trade back with me. You feel me? Like, no one is clamoring to trade back with me. So it's just like Bateman, Newsome. I like Newsome too, but Bateman is easily the best player here. And I think it's one of those things where it's just like, I might just draft. I go best player available unless like if J.C. Horn was here, obviously I got to scoop him. One of the tackles fell here, Tucker or Slater. I would have to go.
I don't think we covered that.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, let me go back. So J.C. Horn is out in fucking goddamn it. Caleb Farley in Philly. Slater, yeah,
Slater, that's a good pick.
Slater to protect what's his name?
Yep.
Yeah, that's good. This pay guy, sure, whatever.
Vikings love them an edge rusher.
Yeah, whatever. They have 30 of them, but fine.
My favorite thing about the draft is how everyone is kind of collectively out on pay.
Yeah,
no one.
I see nothing on film to fucking draft him at 14. Like nothing. J.C. Horn, that concerns me, pause, but that double cock action out there with Stephen Gilmore.
Whoa.
Where'd you go with that verse?
Slow down there, King.
Gamecocks, my fault. I forgot this is a PG podcast.
Duck season in the war room too.
Yeah, Ducks. Yeah, I do got duck season. Duck season's here. That's my guy, Malk B. So, yeah. J.C. Horn ain't New England with Stephen Gilmore. That concerns me a lot. It sounds like a lot of lonely days out there as a wideout. Tucker is a good pick. I don't see
Shout out to J.C. Horn, man. Shout out to J.C. Horn. Not to cut you off, Raz, but I did. I played DB in high school, so cornerbacks are one of the other positions that I feel a little safer talking about. Particularly we gotta bring Ochi on here to talk about some of these edge rushers, man. Shout to friend of the show, Ochi, man. But in terms of J.C. Horn, man, I think he's one of the best boundary cornerbacks that I think have come into the league in a couple years. To be honest, I don't want to say since Jalen Ramsey, but thinking out loud, I think in terms of just overall what he can do being able to play in bump and run coverage, being able to actually, he's his IQ and reaction time for a cornerback is super high. So yeah, man, shout out to Jason Jordan, man. I was super impressed with what I saw with him, but you can't continue, Raz.
Yeah, I mean, Washington gets a good safety. I'm not really sure about this Notre Dame linebacker. I can't really.
Mac Jones at 20.
Mac Jones, that's a good pick. Like that changes things.
That's why I feel like he should be going.
Yeah.
The Bears will not get him at pick 20 because he looked the part.
Yeah, tall white. So back on back to the Jets. I gotta go Bateman. Like I'm drafted Wilson. Boom, you coming in with Bateman, Corey Davis, Keelan Cole, Denzel Mims. Fuck it.
So this pick, I think, for the Jets is where it gets really interesting about how you start kind of game playing for 2022.
Yeah.
Because realistically, Raz, where do you see them picking next year? Do you think they're going to be top 5 again?
Nah, top 5 is tough, bro. We were so bad this year. I think they might be a top 10, top 15 pick next year, but
I'll project like pick 3 next year.
Pick 3, that's out of control, bro.
Is it
a rookie quarterback?
This is not a talented roster, Raz. Okay,
it's not talented. It's not talented at all.
I know. Robert Saleh has a great head of. I mean, a great just like ball head. Pause. But he's not a miracle worker.
He's not.
But not a miracle worker, bro.
I also don't think that team was as. I also don't think that team was as bad as it was last year. It was just coached by Adam Gase. I think those are the two. Like, I think you remove Adam Gase and you add a few more players. I don't think they're picking top 5.
They're still talented. It's possible. I still think it's a bottom 5 to 10 roster in the NFL.
It's a bottom 5 roster with heart.
Raz,
you know what I mean?
I'm back on the fucking clock, bro.
All right, so Raz, you're on the clock. This is pick 34. Can we recap? Can we recap the last
everything that's happened
picks
since here? Cosme to the Steelers.
Okay.
That's all right.
Jalen Phillips, 27. That's a Ravens pick. That's a Ravens pick.
Terrence Marshall to the Saints is a good pick, though.
I like that. I really like that, actually. I really like if Terrence Marshall goes 28 to the Saints. I love that fit, especially like compared to like what he would do next to Michael Thomas would open up so much for him.
Yeah.
Especially like Michael Thomas is not getting downfield and burning dudes.
That's Blackwell's welcome, man.
But we know Terrence Marshall has that deep speed, so I just think especially like he's one of those big guys who could really like open on the lid of a defense. Rondell Moore, 31. Newsome to the Packers is a pick. I can see him taking the corner.
Yeah.
There's
Bolton to the Bills is concerning.
How do we real quick before Raz goes into his spiel? Chris and Denzel, Rondell Moore and Kadarius Toney. How do you guys feel about them? 31, 32. Do the Buccaneers need another receiver? Not really, but I can see them keeping TB12 happy and just saying fuck it. But Rondell Moore, Kadarius Toney, two similar guys. Where are you guys at, Denzel and Chris, on Kadarius Toney and Rondell Moore as far as draft stock?
I would be surprised if Rondell Moore went before Toney.
Facts.
To be honest, like if Toney went to a position like the Buccaneers and they had him, Mike Evans, and Chris Godwin, Bucks have to be the favorites to repeat in the NFC.
Aren't they already the favorites?
Like, I feel like the Packers? Because I think they lost AB.
They brought the whole fucking team back. AB, fine. They brought the whole team back.
I wouldn't take Rondell Moore or Kadarius Toney over Elijah Moore. Let's just put that out there right now.
Big facts.
I think like Elijah Moore. I didn't really get to talk about him in depth on the receiving show as much as I wanted to because like I was just doing a million things on that show. But Elijah Moore is one of my favorite receivers in this class, man. Like he's a smaller dude, but he got that pizzazz to him. He got that fight as a receiver. He reminds me a little bit of, I just mean tenacity wise and how he gets after every, he's going after every contested grab, like the game is on the line. When I'm just talking about that aggression that he really catches balls, it reminds me a little bit of of a Steve Smith and how he really catches the ball and for a smaller guy is physical and is really great at those making plays in tight corners. So Elijah Moore is one of my favorite guys, and I do think, you know, his actual fit in the NFL, his scheme, like where he ends up going in dynasty in first year player drafts for the NFL, it's going to be interesting because I can see, like, if he ends up in a passing offense, you know, that's going to fling the ball around, you know, the sky's the limit. But Raz, we can get back to you. This is pick 34.
Pick 34.
The second pick of the second round. What are you thinking right now?
So I'm gonna check to see who's trying to hit my line. Right, I see the Bengals. I see the Chiefs also want to trade. It's a little too far back for me. They got the 58th pick, but let me talk to the Bengals real quick. Let me see what I could work out. I'm gonna get real. They're gonna have to give me 38, probably 111, unless 202 for shits and giggles. Let's see if they'll accept that trade because I'm wheeling and dealing here. That might be a little rich. Let's keep the 38 and 111. Let me get those picks. Cool. I've traded back to the 38th pick. I think we're good here.
Okay. All right. So run the clock. Let's see who goes.
Who did the Bengals take?
The Bengals
they took Travis.
Etienne.
Okay, Travis
Carlos
Etienne went to pick 35. I'm not mad at. If the Eagles take Kyle Trask at 37, I can see.
Would you be shocked?
I was shocked when they took Hurts last year.
I would be shocked if they take Kyle Trask 37 because I have Davis Mills over Kyle Trask personally. I also have, I think, somebody who I'm gonna probably have to do a video on this guy before Thursday, but my guy Jamie Newman, I just think he has more like raw tools than somebody like Kyle Trask. But Kyle Trask at 37, I think if you take a quarterback where they took, you know, taking a quarterback 2 straight years in the second round, that's bad capital management. Okay, like because both of those guys.
But you heard what the coach is saying. Them niggas is playing rock paper scissors with draft prospects to gauge their competitiveness. So PFF might be on to something. Like I think now here at 38 though, I'm looking like I can't take Elijah Moore as tempting as it is. I can't do it. I took Bateman already. Bro, that's out of control.
Fair enough, but I mean, weapons is weapons.
PFF would love that. PFF would love that.
You know, but I'm a Denzel Mims stand as well. Like
I think that's what I'm saying. Mims is going to be.
I think he's in line for a year or two breakout, and like I think if I was just comparing talent wise, like and I was somebody who, you know, when the going got tough with DK Metcalf and people would hate on DK Metcalf. I don't think he doesn't have the elite speed that DK Metcalf had, but their games are similar if we're just talking about physical freaks and guys who, now the difference is DK Metcalf went to a system that really brought the best out of him. So we're gonna have to see how the Jets really optimize somebody like a Denzel Mims, but that is neither here nor there. I mean, it's a new you can't get back. You are on the clock, and we're talking about we're talking about, you know, that envelope, you know. So
I see Samuel here. Whew. I see Leatherwood is still here, and I'm just like, can I get more capital? Right? 49ers want to move up. I feel like at 43, I'm not really dropping off that much, and I can get an extra pick, right? Or do I attack Asante Samuel and address my cornerback need, right?
All right,
I don't know.
If we're gonna talk, let's talk about the Jets real quick. Because this is the point I'm making when you say like, okay, I don't see them as a, you know, falling in the top 5 worst records of next year. So, but we have to talk about the talent base on the roster currently. So, but we're just talking about, you know, you have your skill position guys, you have the line, you have the defensive line, you got your backers, you got your DBs. I mean, the Jets just need a good BPA draft. It's hard for me to look at that team, look at that roster and say, I feel like they should be like looking at distinct needs other than, I mean, you know, they're taking a quarterback at 2, but other than that, like, what strengths does this team have? And we talk about this a lot on
the middle of the line. That's it.
We talk about this in drafts, and I tell people this goes for building an NFL team. This goes for building a fantasy this goes for building a fantasy roster as well. When you're drafting, we get into this database and we get into this idea of, okay, I need a back here, I need a left guard here, I need a middle infielder here, regardless of what you're drafting at the time. And that's a mistake, because you should be trying to build strengths. You should be trying to build actual roster strengths on your team that is a part that you can grow with and something that's going to give you advantage over other teams. Looking at this Jets roster, Raz, that's what I'm saying. What's the strength? And you're taking this trade back approach, which I think it works for a mock draft. I think it'd be much.
It's gonna be harder in real life.
Yeah, it's hard. It's harder to do that. It's harder.
I think right now here, I'm probably taking Samuel, or I'm taking one of these tackles.
Real quick, even before we get to the pick, like what are the strengths of this team? If they are to, NFL teams do have, a shorter turnaround, time. We're talking rebuilds. But what is the strength of this team? Because if for watching the Jets that I watched last year, it's hard to really take that away. So, great friends. You guys do not deserve what Woody Johnson put you guys through. But what's the building blocks that we have, Raz?
Quick reset. You got to go Becton. You got to go Quinnen Williams. You banking on that wide receiver core that you just revamped. So that's Corey Davis, Denzel Mims, Crowder, and Keelan Cole. From there, let's see. Defensive line, we have Foley. We have some guys that have the defensive line is probably something you hold on to.
Quinnen Williams had a great year last year.
Linebackers, let's see. Do we have any fucking linebackers? We'll see what CJ Mosley looks like when he comes back, but but that's about it. I mean, Marcus May. Marcus May is a great football player. So shout out to him. But other than that, and Ashton Davis, you want to see how he comes along. But at the cornerback,
my last point before you make this pick, Raz, and like I said, and just comparing it to the Giants, and the Giants had I'm sorry, Raz. I keep quoting Jay-Z on the air, but moral victories are for minor league coaches. How many games did the Giants win last year? 4 or 5?
I can't confirm.
Chris Denzel?
I think it's
7?
6.
It wasn't 7. It was not 7. He did not win 7. Actually, it was closer to exactly 7. I'm thinking about it. But my point about the Giants and why I feel stronger about them as a roster, like talent wise, and just this year was important for the Giants as a step, even though they weren't ready to compete yet. But a lot of the younger guys made steps forward, and the roster started coming together. So that's what I think this upcoming season is for the Jets. If they get, like you said, you brought up Ashton Davis, who I thought was, he had a great season, but I think he still has a lot of upside as a really good cover safety, somebody who can even play in the box. But pick 38 here, Raz. You traded back. So what's your thoughts here?
I'm probably going to Asante Samuel Jr. How strongly I feel about it right now, I'm at probably like an 8, but I'm gonna do it. I know we need offensive line help, but I don't feel very good about either of these tackles at this point of the draft.
I like that pick.
That's a good pick.
Never have too many corners.
Nah, you guys on the Giants on the clock now.
Quick recap. Who just went, Raz? Who just went?
Najee Harris went to the Broncos because they need another running back. And and Andre Cisco, safety, Syracuse.
That's
so we're up at 42.
That's not
I like Cisco.
That's not a bad pick. But you gotta be a football lifer to know that one. So we'll go. I'll show the big board so that everybody can see. So you got Elijah Moore still here. Walker Little, Dylan Randunce. I hope that's how you pronounce it. Elijah Molden, Leatherwood. This guy right here, Jamin Davis, he's been flying up the boards. Everybody loves him. I'm kind of iffy on him. Like, I don't think he needs to go in my top 40, but I do see the potential.
This genuine talk about the Redskins taking him first round.
Jesus Christ. I mean, this play is here.
Hold on. Yo. Real quick. Denzel, Chris, you guys can take it away from here. But this is just my last, just my interruption. Jamar Johnson, go down low, Raz from Indiana. All right, dude. When we talk about, because taking it back to Justin Fields for a second, because the two games people bring up for Justin Fields is a Northwestern game and the Indiana game. Jamar Johnson, like his film and what he did and how he messed up the game flow and just disrupted everything that Ohio State tried to do against Ohio State. I'm super interested to see where he goes on draft day and where I think he's a day 2 guy. But like if he jumped into round 1, I really wouldn't be surprised. Safeties usually fall, but Jamar Johnson I'm so interested to see how his safeties get underrated. I feel like just because people don't value positional value for safeties, it's easy to find a safety just in terms of finding like guys in that athletic profile. But for how the league is really, adapting right now, I think the importance of having a multiple safeties and guys who can cover out of the slot. They can play free or strong safety and even give you some box safety capabilities. Somebody like Jamar Johnson is just somebody who I have my eyes on to see what he does at the next level, because that Indiana game, he was a true star. People end up, shitting on Justin Fields, but Jamar Johnson, it was a Jamar Johnson showcase game with the mind games and how he just psyched out Justin Fields in that game. So that's just one thing that I just like. It'll be interesting to see where he goes. But Chris and Denzel, for this pick 42, War Room Contingency, where you guys at on this?
But wait, before that pick though, but Sean, you bring up that Northwestern game with Justin Fields, right? The thing is, Northwestern legitimately had the best corner tandem in the Big Ten
last year. It was good last year. Yes.
Newsome is a potential first-round pick. Yep. And the other corner they had was the Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, Doug, and you make this. These are great points, Denzel. Yeah.
So it's just like for people to hold those games against him, to have him potentially the 5th quarterback on the board when he has all this other tape is crazy.
It's all named, like people are not looking at Northwestern as a football school, so it's just all
which they've never. Indiana and Northwestern have never been football schools, really. Like
Indiana was a top 10 team this year.
No, I know, but and it was like you got to give like the normal like COVID, excuses. Like this was a wacky season, but like we don't expect those. Like Indiana is usually like those are cream puffs. Those are schedule builders that you need a good 50-3 route over teams like Northwestern and Indiana. But it was different this year, and like you said, Denzel, I do think we just talk about competition. Those teams. Especially in the condensed schedule, which Ohio State played this year, like compared to like the competition that Trevor Lawrence and the Zach Fields and I mean Mac Jones went up against better competition. So I don't think that argument really holds validity for that one. But yeah, man, great points on that one. So Chris and Denzel, what are you guys thinking on this? Chris, I'll let you start. Pick 42. Raz, you can't cycle through the best available real quick. But Chris and Denzel, what are you guys thinking?
So one of the guys I was thinking about taking already got taken at pick 39 in Joseph Asai. I think he's going to be really good. Personifies, 3-4 linebacker, good pass rushing skills, really disciplined. Someone you definitely take a look at in that second round range. I did write down in my notes, and we've kind of followed it to the point. Go BPA at 11, see what's available. But with this pick, I'd probably look to try and trade it just to get a bit more day 3 capital. Because that's the one thing that we're lacking. Obviously we don't have the 5th round pick. That's going to the Jets for the
thank you
for the Leonard trade.
Yeah,
which is looking like a good investment now, as opposed to what it was on the day.
Leonard was damn good last year, man.
Leonard Williams is a football player, man. So
he's good, man.
Shout out to you guys.
So I'd look to trade it, but when you've got what I consider to be a blue chipper in Elijah Moore sitting there right in front of you, you've definitely got to consider it.
Denzel, how about you, bro? Where you at with it?
I'm fully on the Elijah Moore train with this pick. We could finally get next season. We could get Sterling Shepard up out of here. right the wrongs of we can finally right the wrongs of drafting him over Michael Thomas, which never made sense.
Hey man, that guy won at life. That's all we can say. You know what I mean?
Sure, Sterling Shepard, you're not wrong though, Denzel. But I don't even do the whole celebrity like cowtelling and like loving them. But like, shout out to Sterling Shepard and Chanel Iman. That's a beautiful ass couple right there. Like I just like it has nothing to do with football. But okay, so same question that I did present to Raz, Chris, and Denzel. As we're walking through this draft, this war room process for pick 2. And obviously we went Slater, that first pick.
Parsons.
No, Parsons.
We went Parsons. We went Parsons, LB, edge rusher, hybrid 3-4 guy, whatever. If we just talk about the team and we're talking about what they did in free agency and where the roster is at currently, where do you guys at, and what do you think is the next, position that you feel like if we suit up, if we actually like have a good draft and we cover up these deficiencies that we have on the roster, we're looking at a good season. So basically, a long-winded way of me asking, like, what else are the holes on this Giants team? Because I think they've done a great job of filling out the secondary. The defensive line is coming along. Saquon, obviously, and my personal draft philosophy is I want the most talent at every position possible. I don't get caught up on I don't want to take a running back. No, I don't. For a certain part, I'm just looking to get the most talented dudes on every position possible, wherever like draft capital be damned. If you're getting a good football player, you're getting a good football player. If you get somebody you can depend on. That's going to affect the actual game flow and make a consistent week in and week out impact on games. That's a win, and you're getting them on a rookie scale contract. So, Denzel, Chris, where you guys at? What do you guys think, hypothetically, when this pick 42 comes up on draft night or Friday, day 2 of the draft, what do you guys think that the Giants would be looking at if, your input was valued?
So it's just like, in a perfect world, like when you're drafting, you want positional need to mesh perfectly with the value on the board and getting the best player there.
Yep.
But at the same time, like I feel like it's interesting. Like we're in a weird space. It's like we still evaluating our quarterback, and it's like we still. I don't want any excuses for the quarterback. Like we need to give him a full cover, all the weapons we can get him, and then put them out on the field so that we can properly evaluate him. Compared to last season, like that was a lost season last season.
That's a great point.
That was a lost season last year. Like we got no further. The beginning of the season and the end of the season, we didn't get any further in the evaluation of if he's the quarterback or not. So if we can this draft, I feel like that should be at least top 2 priorities.
Priority number 1. And like, all right, so I think Denzel, you made it. That's a great point, bro. Great point. And I think you hit it on the head. So I will parlay that to Chris. Where are we at on one young Danny Dimes? Like, we talk about it a lot, and it's been a topsy turvy experience with Danny Jones. So right now, he showed some good, he showed some bad. I feel like he at least towards the second half of the season, started to aid some of the turnover issues, the fumble issues that he had that really, messed him up in year 1. But Denzel, he addressed the elephant in the room about Daniel Jones because, like, as much as I do think the Giants roster is, a step ahead of the Jets, of just how these last couple of draft classes have been handled. If you don't got the right quarterback in there, none of that shit matters. For being real. So, Chris, where are you at on Daniel Jones currently?
This is really a make or break year. Just in terms of his development and where you see the future of this team going, because you could be in a position again in 2 drafts time where you're looking at quarterback options, which is never a good thing. They were fortunate that they were in a position where they could draft him first and foremost in that draft to get him quite high up. I think we went back and forth saying who would be the pick there. Was it Haskins? Was it Jones? Thankfully, they went Jones. Even though I think Haskins at some point will be a reliable backup on a roster, it's probably not going to happen as a starter right now. But you see where he shines, especially when they incorporate a lot more RPO into his game, because one of the underrated parts about his game, he can get you about 80 yards on the ground, give or take. He's quick. he probably just needs first and foremost, he needs a better tight end because Ingram is just
mid.
Yeah, more reliable, consistent.
Less said about that man, the better.
He's not worse than Herndon.
Fair enough. I take Ingram over Herndon.
True.
Pro Bowl tight end Ingram, by the way.
I'm generally hoping
we don't respect that label though.
He tricked y'all, man. I'm generally hoping a lot of his issues from last season were because he had that Liz Frank injury, and apparently it takes about 12 months for it to kind of like fully get over. But the hands of stone are a massive issue, and you saw that's where most of the interceptions came from last year. Yeah. So it just comes back to that, really. It comes back to a lot of Jones' decision making. He holds the ball for far too long, knowing that the pocket he's got will collapse at any single point. Sean, you touched on it earlier on. Hernandez's struggles from his rookie season have really been heightened from last year. I don't think Lemieux is any form of answer on this line. He was garbage in pass protection. They're banking a lot on Matt Peart becoming a stable tackle. I think he will, but he's still got a long ways to go. He's definitely someone you want there. And I think it became apparent that Andrew Thomas was playing with an injury, and you are banking on him having some incremental improvement. So the one thing for me is this line needs to get a lot stronger. And the good thing about this is about this draft is from the top end, there's clear defined guys. Sewell did the defined number one. Then you say it would be between Elijah Vera-Tucker, Rashawn Slater, Darisaw. Those guys kind of be the three next up. But then you've got guys in the second round that I think could be really good use for the Giants. So you got Landon Dickerson from Alabama. I think Leatherwood will probably go back end of the first round, just for kind of depth purposes. So that's such a Ravens pick. You know what I mean? Like that makes total sense for them to do. But then you got guys like Wyatt Davis, who is a plug and play guard. And if Elijah Moore wasn't on the board here, I'd probably trade back and then take him. And then again, you've got guys like that who can plug and play in this Giant system and give a little bit more protection. So a lot of it does come back to the offensive line for Jones' development, just so he's not holding on to the ball and running for his life. Just give him the time to make sound decisions in terms of throwing downfield. And now the fact he's got a reliable number one receiver will definitely help with that. But like I said earlier on, it's make or break in terms of his development and where we can kind of put the line in terms of his analysis going forward.
So pick 42, Chris Denzel. Final takes. Where you guys at with this? Are we on Elijah Moore?
Yeah, Moore. I'm going Moore.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think like if we just talking about like fit next to somebody like Kenny Golladay, and I think that Kenny Golladay, Elijah Moore, Darius Slayton, Sterling Shepard, all of those pieces fit. Sterling Shepard is the slot guy. Elijah Moore could do all of your hybrid jet sweeps, short passing game stuff. Kenny Golladay is, one of the best jump ball receivers in the league, and then you have somebody like who did I say? Darius Slayton, who's just one of the best vertical receivers in the league. So, like you said, make a break season for Daniel Jones. I have my questions. I'm in the middle of it. I could go either way. I'm not sure if we still have our franchise quarterback on this roster. So, next year is super important about where the Giants will be, because like it's going to be frustrating if we have to, take a quarterback in the draft next year. But it's a part of the territory. So Raz, talk to me, bro. Where we at?
So since the Giants have picked at 42. Notable people that's come off the board: Leatherwood, tackle to the Patriots at 46. Wyatt Davis, guard to the Cardinals at 49. Kellen Mond, heir apparent, it seems, in Pittsburgh.
Can we get some thoughts on Kellen Mond? We did not talk about him on the quarterback show. Chris, I did see you tweeting. I've seen you talk about him a lot recently. So, I have my thoughts on Kellen Mond. Who took him? Steelers. That's not a bad pick. I don't think
that's not a bad place.
He has his upside. He has like physically, he reminds me of Colin Kaepernick. The throwing motion. He has one of the elongated throwing motions that you will see in this draft. I don't know how. Like if we're just talking about like length of throwing motion, it's Tebow-esque about just how long that shit takes. Wind up. I don't know how that works in the NFL, particularly with the importance of the short passing game recently. But your thoughts on Kellen Mond, Chris?
I think in terms of Kellen Mond for me seems like a really Raider-esque pick, if that makes sense. Like if they were to reach for any kind of quarterback, it would be him. I think he's got a lot of tools to develop with, like you said, the throw motions a little bit. It's a bit odd. It's long, but he did a lot of really good stuff last year in terms of improving his game.
He got better over his years at A&M. So I do think that's credit to him
for sure. Up to turnover ratio from kind of like 2-1 to 6-1, which is a massive incremental improvement. And he's just got a lot of good tools that you can kind of develop. You want a guy who can kind of sit, learn. Like we said earlier, he's got a big frame. His ball placement kind of leaves a lot to be desired, but he's got quick feet. He can stand in the pocket. He's a guy who you want to sit for about two years, kind of learn behind someone. I think that's a really good selection. I think a lot of people, someone's gonna pick Davis Mills and be really upset because let's not forget Davis Mills lost the quarterback competition to KJ Costello.
That he did.
And I think Kellen Mond's got a lot of good. It's like you said about Jamie Newman earlier. I think they're very kind of similar to the way they can develop if they sit for kind of 2 years. So I think it's going to be really interesting to see what the evaluation is in terms of where he goes. I think second round might be a little bit rich, but if someone was to kind of select him top end of the third round, I think someone's getting a steal.
Kellen Mond's gotten better each year too. I will say that compared to his freshman year is world difference, honestly. But if like a team like the Steelers take him, you think like he would be able to beat out a quarterback like Haskins for the backup job?
It's possible. It's very possible. I mean, Haskins is a dickhead. Excuse my French. So it's just one of those things where their talent might not even be the issue. It might just be
a focus Haskins.
Well, you gotta flip a coin on that. Is he gonna be focused?
Yeah.
I mean, and just going down the rest of the people that got picked. My guy, because of the damn Ravens made that trade. Javonte Williams going to goddamn Chiefs. That's absolutely terrifying.
That's terrorism.
That'd be a headache in fantasy. That'd be a headache in fantasy.
I feel like I don't want to see him go there.
Because he's splitting too many carries with that.
There's so much more fantasy upside elsewhere for Javonte. Like, please don't do that to us, man. Like, that would be, that's that. As much as I like him and CEH as individual talents, they would end up being a fade for me both because they would just.
Yeah, you can't take either of them, bro.
Yeah, man. They would cannibalize each other, man.
Yeah, so to get into the Jets pick.
Wait, we in the third round?
Yeah, we're in the third round, 66. So now I'm looking.
By the way, I genuinely think Joe Tryon going top end in the third round. That's a steal, man. That guy's gonna.
Yeah. No, he's one of them
good.
We talk about it with these edge guys, man. In particular, like this class, it's really going to come down to player development. I don't feel like we talk about that enough in the NFL, but
100%.
Like once they get into the training camps for these like teams, like who's really going to get the most of these edge rushers? Because like I feel like anywhere between like maybe like 1 and like 6 or 7 on these edge rusher guys, they all have the potential to be possibly the most impactful. Edge rusher in this class. It just depends on how their development ends up. It's hard to parlay that and project that really, but yeah, Raz, pick 66. You've traded back? You've traded back twice now.
I only traded back once.
Okay, you traded back once. So where are you at right now?
I like Jabril Cox a lot. I think he would fit in well with the Jets. Your guy, Jamar Johnson, is there too. We need center help. Creed Humphrey. I don't know, bro. Like a lot of these players here, other than like Jabril and maybe Jamar, like I don't know if I'm taking either one of them. Either any of these, like I would look to trade back here, but like you said, we got to deal with reality, right? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So I'm gonna go Jabril Cox, and I think I can sleep with that pick. I can sleep with that one. Who would you have went? Talk to me.
I would have went with the Kentucky linebacker instead. I think he has better film. I think he has better film.
You think so?
Yeah, because Cox, he's more like I can see the value because he can cover. Like he's probably arguably the best coverage linebacker in this draft, but I feel like Jamin Davis, he has more potential in the run game and stuff like that.
Well, I mean, yeah, for sure, but I mean, like, the
yeah.
Jets never really need help in the run game, so it's just like one of those things where it's like, if I'm like, obviously you want to take the best player, but I do think the coverage aspect for me is where it kind of stood out for me. I just think we're gonna need somebody who can tackle, but we need someone.
You said who's the pick?
Yeah, I took what's his name? Jabril Cox from LSU linebacker.
Yeah, no, so I think he came from North Dakota State, I believe, transfer guy. But Jabril Cox is like, I feel like the most important position and this is something where I was watching a lot of Kyle Pitts earlier today. I was really, really like diving into the Kyle Pitts film. So
I was
that guy is something else, man. Tight ends like that don't come into the league yearly. So I mean, like, I don't like it. I'm usually a fade tight end guy, but if I could get my hands on some Kyle Pitts in first year player drafts, I would definitely like invest high capital in somebody like that. But what's it called? With Jabril Cox, I do think when we talk about linebackers and we talk about these, going back to Kyle Pitts for a second, we just talk about walking mismatches, and it doesn't matter who you put on that guy. You put a linebacker on him, it's a mismatch. You put a cornerback on him, it's still a mismatch because the cornerback is too small for him. He's not going to be able to make up for that for his catch radius. But somebody like Jabril Cox, I do think is interesting because I do think he's one of the better coverage linebackers in this league. And the more the NFL turns to passing on first down and passing 40 for 50 times per game, your coverage linebackers become one of the most important guys on the field. So I do think Jabril Cox you need guys like Jabril Cox. You actually need several guys like Jabril Cox. You need a range of guys, and speaking of range, he has range. And he can move. He can move his feet, and he can definitely actually he can drop back and get into his over the top clouds from the safety position. So I do think that's somebody who can be a playmaker at the linebacker position, and he would come in and have some impactful impact from the linebacker position. So where are we at? We're at pick 76 right here.
76. Yep. I think we got 2 more rounds to do. I think we said 5 or 4. So I don't know how much
probably. But yeah, Chris Denzel, where are you guys at? Pick 4. Davis Mills went pick 74. Tyler Wallace, shout out to our guy Chris.
Yeah, let's scroll up.
Who's left on the board? Let me see who's left.
I'm gonna tell you who went. I'm gonna show you
Amon-Ra St. Brown to the Texans at 67.
Yeah,
all right, I'm not mad at that. So,
nah.
But pick 76.
So here's who's on the board right here.
Chris Denzel, take it away. Where y'all at?
A quick question too. To sidebar, should I get jerk salmon? What kind of sweet chili? What kind of sauce should I get on this here salmon, man?
Wait, who are you getting it from? It depends where you're getting it from.
Vibes.
Who's making the jerk? Oh, Vibes.
Shout out to Vibes, man.
Vibes been hit or miss for me lately.
That's disheartening as I'm about to put this on. I'm not gonna lie.
So I'm not the best guy. They fucked up my last 2 orders.
Like, I'm not gonna lie to you.
Vibes fucked up my last 2 orders, so I got a little beef with them right now.
Fuck. All right, go back to the football. This is bad. All right. Here's who you got available.
Okay, this is what, round 3?
Yeah, we're in round 3, and the round 3 kind of.
Like, I'm high on Davis.
You got to take him now, right?
We took a linebacker, but
I mean, you can never have too many linebackers.
We have like one linebacker. Plus, because Davis went off on his pro day too. I think he ran like a 4.39. And he had a 41-inch vert. Like the Giants are missing those.
He's a freak
We're missing
for
those
sure.
kind of players. And he was like one of the best run defenders in the SEC this year too.
True.
I don't know, Chris. What you thinking? I gotta bounce some ideas off.
The Army Brown being available in the 3rd round is crazy.
That's great value, man. That's great value.
Yeah,
that's great value.
He's got every single tool to be a Stephon Diggs clone in this league.
That's
I'm not mad at it.
praise.
I'm not mad at it. I'm not mad at it. No,
he's a lot of pressure. He's good.
He's a big play.
He's good.
Man.
Stephon, Stephon and his routes is different. Like, I don't like putting anybody on that level.
Fair enough, because that's one of my favorite receivers in the league. So, like, I don't think, but we just talk about, it is a wild comp. It is a wild comp, but we just talk about like Diggs because he's a top 3 route runner. Probably like, I mean, I probably only put like. I'm probably gonna put Julio Jones and Devontae Adams over him if I'm talking like route runners, and I think he has an argument over both of them. You know, depending on what you're looking at. Like Stephon Diggs at the stem of his routes is probably the most unpredictable guy to try and stop because his movements are just so quick. You don't know where he's actually trying to get if you're trying to react to what he's doing. But that's neither here nor there. Shout out to the I Am Athlete episode with Stephon Diggs also. Great content. Christian Denzel, pick 76.
Can you scroll down?
No safety tackle.
So there's 2 guys here. One might be a reach. The other I don't think is. So I like Thomas Graham from Oregon as a cover safety.
What's it called? Malcolm in the chat talked about Robert Rochelle, and I do think because he is somebody, he's a name that's been floating around. This is Central Arkansas cornerback. I watched him at the Senior Bowl.
I'm gonna have to search for him. Hold on.
No, I watched him at the Senior Bowl, and I saw him against. He went up against in the Indy drills against Amari Rodgers and Kadarius Toney, and I do believe they gave him that work. But I do think he's a pretty cornerback wise. I do think the Giants, they're not in a bad position right now. They actually have pretty good depth, and they're expecting guys like Xavier McKinney and Julian Love to even take another step. I don't even Sam Bill's on Russ right now, but they have talent. But I do think he can. He has some stuff he needs to work on, but I do think he has somebody who can. Make some plays, especially as a nickelback at the next level. But pick 76. Where are we at? Final picks on this Christian Denzel.
All right, let's get it. All right. So who are your top 3 you got here, Chris?
So I
best players.
So I kind of got 4, but you need to scroll down to kind of find them. I like Milton Williams. He's Ed Oliver clone, basically. He's a little skinny in terms of defensive line, but he's so fluid. We were talking about earlier on with hand skills. He's got all of them for days. And I think what we lack in production from kind of like a BJ Hill, you can plug and play. You could trade BJ Hill, probably get a 5th round, 6th round pick for him, and you can reinvest that in Milton Williams, who will be a lot more fluid on that defensive line. Graham again, I think would be good value, depth for cornerback, plays in a similar system to kind of what we do now. The other 2 guys I'd look at, because we haven't addressed the offensive line yet, would be Stone Forsyth from Florida, who I think has got guy's got gargantuan 6'8", massive arms. If you're looking for someone who can develop on at a tackle position, he's a guy you could definitely look for. And the other guy I would look at in terms of guard play would be Aaron Banks from Notre Dame. I think he's probably the most undervalued guard in the draft, and a guy you could definitely plug and play.
I feel like those are all guys.
You got to put the pick in. Where y'all at?
Yeah.
I was looking at next round.
This is day.
Those guys.
This is day 2. What is it? Still day 2? The clock is
because I love shorter. I love Ardarius Washington. Like, I think he's crazy. I love Davis. I love Brown. Sheesh. Yeah, this is tough. And then I like Kendrick Green, but third is a little rich. If it's up to me, I'd probably go with Davis, the Kentucky linebacker, just to get another guy. Because I feel like we only really have one linebacker established right now.
Yeah, Chris, final take on that.
I kind of like how some of the guys played. So I thought Tay Crowder came quite close last year.
So you gotta take we gotta take it, man. You gotta just. I mean, I'll be the
tiebreaker. Because I feel like me and him on completely different wavelengths right now.
Who'd you say, Denzel?
I was going with the Kentucky linebacker, Jamie Davis.
And who was your pick? Who was your pick, Chris?
Fuck.
I like Jamie. Jamie's not bad though.
I'll go Milton Williams, but that's a bit of an out there pick.
Yeah, I'll probably go with Denzel on Jamie Williams on that. I do think we could definitely use him. Giants don't like investing capital on linebackers, so we'll see if that happens. But I do think we have he could come in and play and have a lot of room to really make plays, and I do think that helps him out. Pick 86, Raz. You're on the clock, brother. Talk to us.
Sheesh. Jamar's still there. Darius is still there. I mean, this seems like a. Ooh, hold on. Michael Carter's still there too. So right now, man, Michael Carter. Malk says I gotta go O-line. Do I, bro? Like none of these guys here are worth going over. Or Darius, Jamar, or Michael Carter. Your boy St. Juice is here too. We need some explosiveness, man. I might go Michael Carter, honestly. I feel like, what round is this? Third? Can I draft a running back in the third round as the New York Jets?
Man. That's a good value.
I'm going with Michael Carter, man. Like that's a good pick.
Like, PFF might scowl if you take a running back in the third round, but like that's a good pick, man. Michael Carter, you need playmakers, and Michael Carter is somebody like I do think he has some in the tackles utility. Like I don't think you necessarily got to run him in between the tackles like 20 times a game, but he can handle some in between the tackles work. But like even compared to like guys like Tevin Coleman and Ty Johnson, who probably be in the and what's the back that took out of Florida last year?
Why the Patriots us they pick? They were cheating again?
I don't know.
What's the back they took out of Florida last year? I'm forgetting.
I'm trying to see who went.
P. Ryan. What's the name?
LaMichael
P. Ryan. Yeah. So like, I do feel like he can make some impact in that backfield, and especially like he would easily be the best third down running back and catcher out of the backfield. So I do think he could probably even have some like year one value, and at pick 86, that's pretty damn good value. So what are we at right now, Raz?
I'm on the clock again. I'm just seeing Trey Sermon to the Bills.
That's a good pick.
Atwell to the Ravens. Darius to the fucking Bucks. Gainwell. Shout out to our Canadian brother who has him as running back number 2. He's going to the Saints.
Shout out Nico Williams, man. Shout out Nico. Yo, the Giant. I mean, the Saints in this draft went Nico Williams, and who they take first round?
Son from Terrace Marshall.
Terrace Marshall. That's not a pretty. I mean, that's a pretty good damn. That's a pretty good receiving core if they do that. But yeah, Raz. I mean, I think we could wrap it up after this. I mean, fourth round.
The Giants got. I got 2 picks, and then the Giants got 1. So,
all right,
I got one. I got 1 to 7. One like yeah.
We can speed round these.
Speed round these. Let's see who's left. Oh boy, we're getting in the weeds here. Kelvin Joseph has decent tape, but it's 1-year tape, so that concerns me. Jamar Johnson is there. I feel very comfortable in that pick. UCF corners, I honestly got to do a lot more film on them. So
too early for Jalen Darden.
It is. Honestly,
I was watching some tape on him the other day, but you guys, I can
live without him. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go Jamar. I'm just gonna get talent.
That's a good pick, bro. He plays right away. And like for a safety like that, you hybrid guy. So pick 111. You back up, Raz. Talk to us.
Pick 111. I do need some offensive guard help. Boy, I feel like this is a good spot for Kendrick Green. I'm kind of eyeing. Oh, no, he's gone already. Did he leave? Did he get taken? No, he didn't. Where's he at? I do like Kate Johnson, but I can't take a receiver at this point. Malk, I hear you on this one right here. It might be a bit of a reach currently, but I'm gonna go with Kendrick Green.
Yeah, don't overthink it. All right, so last pick before we do a quick recap of the selections. Krish and Denzel, pick 116, fourth round. Any names that come up for you guys? We don't have to stay long on this, but just quick, quick takes. Anybody who you guys see?
The Milton is here.
I'm fine with Milton, and I'm fine with
DT. We do need a DT.
Yeah, I'm fine with either.
I'm fine with Milton. I'm fine with or taking an offensive lineman. What do you think, Dens?
Yeah, I can do either. It doesn't matter to me. Coin flip at this point. Milton or Brady Christensen.
Let's go Milton. I think that'd be a good pick.
Got it. And
he got some good too. So I think Raz, if we could wrap this up and then do a quick recap. We can.
Yeah, I think we put 5 rounds, so they're not going to grade us until I pick that 5th round, which is annoying.
All right, so I think
I'll speed pick it. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think even we can work through this right now. So I mean, Krish and Denzel. Off the top, we went Micah Parsons round 1. Came back in round 2 with Elijah Moore, I believe, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Elijah Moore, and then round 3, I'm forgetting who they took, but I don't hate this draft for the Giants. I definitely do think, it's going to be interesting to see what happens at 11 on draft night, in particular with because it's going to be if any one of the quarterbacks fall to 11, that pick automatically becomes much more valuable. But yeah, so Zach Wilson at 2 for the Giants, Michael Parsons at 11 for Zach Wilson at 2 for the Jets.
Yep.
Michael Parsons at 11 for the Giants. Rashad Bateman at 23 for the Giants. You also made a trade down, picked up pick 38, and the Jets took Asante Samuel Jr. at 38. 42 was Elijah Moore for the Jets. Jabril Cox at 66. Jamin Davis at 76. Michael Carter, Jamar Johnson, and Kendrick Green. So, I mean, just wrapping up. We don't have to stay far on this, but any last thoughts on this draft for you guys, Krish and Denzel?
Final PFF grades: New York Giants B+.
Krish, I'll start with you. Any final thoughts on this Giants draft?
I think for this Giants draft, there's just a wealth. There's a wealth of talent available, and I think if you can go BPA at every possible opportunity, I think you do it. The one key thing for me is we didn't force anything at edge rusher.
Let edge rusher come to you.
Yeah, that's the thing. So, if we're in a position where Olajari fell into the second round, or Oasep fell into the second round, you don't hesitate. You take a guy like that there. But to overreach and take one at 11 would be a massive killer, especially when you've got really good blue chip guys available there. And I think the big thing as well, I think for most teams really across this draft is, even if you take a wide receiver quite early on, there's enough.
It'll be value later, man. Yep.
This is the thing, man. If you take one early on, you don't be afraid to double dip. There's so many good guys in this draft. You've got Smith Marset from Iowa, Semi Fecco from Stanford, Josh Palmer from Tennessee. There's so many good guys just across the spectrum of this draft.
And like you said, it's receiver is so deep. Like even with the Diami Brown pick, I feel like that's a great value. So if you have to wait for a receiver, this is like a class to where you can get some guys who could come in and contribute in year 1. So I do feel like you want the blue chip guys, of course, Devontae, all those guys, they are the blue chippers, but there are guys who can come in and make an impact. Raz, your final thoughts on this, on your Jets mock?
I mean, if this is what the Jets would have leave with, day 2, day 3, middle of day 3, I leave with these picks. I think Joe Douglas has done
he would get praised.
Yeah, above average job of restocking the Bear cupboard there. I mean, you got a lot of talent here. In the first 3 picks are Wilson, Bateman, and Asante Samuel Jr. You could do a lot worse than that. I mean, Jabril Cox at 66, who knows? Like maybe I overstepped there, but doubling, but he's still going to be a decent linebacker at the next level. I don't think you get a bust there. But then, tripling up, with Michael Carter, Jamar Johnson, and Kendrick Green, I mean, you can't go wrong there if those are your mid-round picks, right? Like you're very good there, and then you round it up with Christensen and St. Juice. Like, fine, like you did a very good job, in the first 5 rounds of drafting. So I mean, if the Jets were able to walk out with this, I think we can start to feel okay about the direction in which things are going. Just on paper, obviously, you got to see how this shit plays out.
Yeah, so I think even like I said, shout out to the homies Chris, shout out to the homies Denzel. It's been an awesome episode, man. I feel like we really like touched upon like some really like decision makers in the draft room. I do find it pretty interesting because on draft night and the way these conversations actually happen inside of a NFL war room and inside of scoutings and the people who make these decisions. These are how these conversations goes, and obviously it's a lot of homework that goes into this. But just to see, because you always have to let the draft come to you. So this is a pretty good exercise about what we would do about if we were running the New York football franchises. But I do think before we're about an hour 40 into this episode. The Casamigos is hitting me in the back of my head right now, but we still moving. So I do think our last I don't know what the edible check is for you, Raz, but we're definitely like the room is spinning for me right now, but still I rise. Last thing of topic that we did need to cover here. Back to the other footy. And we do need to parlay this back to my man Krish. Once again, shout out to the Cop and Fracas podcast and the podcast network. If you need anything Premier EPL Premier League footy, they do a wonderful job, and the banter is always A1 and interesting. That's one thing. Anything soccer media, those dudes always do a great job of giving you what it really sounds like. So I really do appreciate that. So Krish, and I do feel like we might have to even make this its own episode going forward because we definitely wanted to tap into the football content going forward. But I asked you this earlier, so whatever it is that you did come through, we did need this part of the conversation. So the conversation was the best young soccer players, the best young footy players, 23 and under. I said top 5, top 10, but I don't know how much you prepared, but just off the top. I do know you're a man of wizardry and punditry, so you know what the hell you're talking about here. So we do follow the EPL, so we would just be interested to see if we had to take it down. Whatever list you have, we do appreciate it because we're an hour 42 into this. We can't rap on this, but Chris, when nigga said Freddie, I do. When we talk about it's out to the American Prodigy, when we talk about the top footballers, who comes to mind are just the most dynamic guys on the pitch, guys who put the ball in the back of the net, guys who just make plays, and guys who, if your team is going up against them, just terrifies you. So Chris, wherever you want to start with, what are you thinking? We talking footy right now. Let's get to the proceedings. Where are we at?
I mean, in terms of guys that just genuinely scare you when you're on the pitch, there's so many across Europe. I mean, Lionel Messi still strikes fear into his opponent's hearts.
Not 23. Yeah, he's not young.
Well, I'm saying from a general point of view, man.
Yeah,
so
he'll fuck you up. He'll fuck you up.
Yeah, what this guy has done kind of since the turn of the year, it's just been nothing insane. He's gone sicko mode. I mean, Barca were truly in the pits. They were in the slums, and he's kind of really pulled them back out. So I just got to give a shout out to him. In terms of the under 23 guys, I mean, I've got a fairly substantial list. So this is just some of the honourable mentions. Marcus Rashford from Manchester United. I mean, phenomenal player.
How old is Rashford now? I feel like he's been around forever, but yeah, the fact that is he.
He's only 22, which is really interesting. Because, like you said, he feels like he's been around forever. I mean, I remember when he kind of made his debut for United in the Europa League game, scored 2 goals, and he's been on a tear ever since, really. He's one of these guys where I kind of feel that him starting his development really early might kind of cost him in his latter career, which you kind of do see with some young players. But he's still such a really good asset. He can play up front, he can play on the right and left wing. But the guy is money. He's a sound fella first and foremost. Does a lot in terms of the community and his activism. And he's also a very good footballer, which helps with the cause. So, got to give a special mention to him. Got to say, Joao Felix from Atletico Madrid, young Portuguese.
He's nasty in FIFA.
Boy, that guy is at the wrong football club in terms of his further his development, because Atletico Madrid play the most boring style of football you'll ever see.
Park the bus all day.
Honestly, man, that's all they do. They kind of run a really rigid defensive formation, so he's doing a lot of kind of off the ball work. But they signed him for a lot of money. It was over 100 million euros. But the guy, he's still only under 20. He's got a lot of room to develop, and he can be one of the next biggest stars in world football. One of the other guys I want to kind of point out.
Shout out to the nigga Dizzle in the chat. Dizzle, what it do, bro?
One of the guys I want to point out as well is Eduardo Camavinga from Rennes, a young French footballer, 17 years old. He's already got a full international cap, and he's kind of really tipped as one of the best central midfielders that will be kind of running the game for the next 10 years. You look at the guy play, he's strong, he's powerful on the ball, he's got really intent going forward. He can play free from central midfield positions, he can play kind of in a 6, he can play as number 8, and he's just efficient kind of doing central midfield work. So he's been linked with a fairly big move this summer. Where he ends up will be really interesting, because he's a star in the making. Bukayo Saka from Arsenal is also a fantastic player. He's at an awful football club, but when you're a local guy, you have to make it work. Started off as a left back and has just applied his trade so well. And honestly, he's one of the only reasons to watch Arsenal play football. He's just so good, a true fulcrum of how they play, and his development going forward is really good. Got a shout out the Canadians here. Jonathan David from Lille. He moved there this summer.
Yeah. Shout out to our well, you said was Jonathan, you said? Yep. Shout out to Alfonso Davies as well. He came to Mount. When you said Canada, that's what I thought you were talking about. Shout out to him and RJ Barrett. Those guys were youngins coming up. And shout out to the Knicks. Raz got the Knicks paraphernalia on today. We got some Knicks content coming for you guys.
Listen, the Knicks in a barn burner right now. Devin Booker is killing Reggie Bullock. It might be time to send the fucking double, but it's 81-79. Third quarter, Knicks are up. They going for 10 straight. Go New York, go. So that's where we are with it right now. But edibles is smoking me. The Casamigos also smoking me.
Bro, smoking me. But Chris, was you done? I don't know where we got on the list.
Cut you off. I don't know how we got to.
We did.
All good. Alfonso Davies is still an honourable mention. He's still got a way to go in, kind of just refine his defensive work. But what this guy can do offensively is limitless. But the top five I've got. Jadon Sancho, Borussia Dortmund. This guy is going to be something else, man. I truly hope he moves to Liverpool this summer. What he can do, he can play as number 10, he can play out wide.
Another FIFA monster.
My guy has got pace for days. He can he can skin attackers alive, leave them for dead, and he's got a good dead eye finish on him too. So he's one to definitely look at. I got one of Razi's boys on the list, Phil Foden from Manchester City. You talk about kind of talent. You talk about talented footballers. The guy is still only kind of 18, 19 years old. The world's ahead of him. The fact that he's been trusted in Pep Guardiola's squad to kind of take a real leading role this season just speaks so volumes to not only his talent, but the way he's kind of developing as a footballer now. So it's truly good to see. Had to put our boy Trent Alexander-Arnold in there as well. I mean, what this guy has achieved in his career so far. He can run a game from right back. Some of the passes he can deliver, his vision. Honestly, he's one of the best footballers for his age group I've ever seen. And it's just a joy to watch week in, week out. I think the other two are the most obvious two you could probably say. Obviously, Erling Haaland of Borussia Dortmund. This guy is whatever the nasties were trying to cook up in that lab. This is that guy. I mean, he's a monster, man.
Just for Political connects. This is not a Nazi podcast.
Allegedly.
There's no legend, bro. There's no
the Nazis on here, bro.
Yeah, or Tory Lanez. You know, we gotta put that out back out
there. Same thing.
I mean, I watched this guy play when we played against Salzburg in the Champions League kind of last year, and I always thought he ran really weird, and he's kind of sorted that out. So his gait is like a little bit more in, and he's added like an extra 5 yards of pace to his game, which is absolutely insane. He's one of the most lethal finishers in world football. 21 years old. He's going to get a big move somewhere, kind of either this year or next year, and yeah, it's going to be a real battle with this next guy as well. The undisputed king of under 23 footballers is Kylian Mbappe. Nothing else needs to be said, man. The guy won a World Cup at age 19. You can play left wing. Different, man. Honestly, there's a joke in the UK called Project Mbappe in terms of when you have a kid, how you want to raise them. You want a kid to be, you want a kid to embody Project Mbappe.
Wonder kid.
It has to be, man. We're gonna get this money somehow.
Come on, man.
Yeah, that guy is something else, man. And he's a genuine joy to watch as well. But yeah, I went on a little bit there, but those are some of the key kind of under 23 players. Obviously, all based in Europe. But yeah, man.
Nobody's gonna refute it either. Nobody's gonna refute it either because of your accent. So it's just like one of those things where it's like,
bro, we so official right now. We all about hitting check marks and benchmarks, but like Chris's English accent just took us to a whole different level. Like, I'm not gonna
we definitely we might get like we might really blow up after this. We might sign a Spotify deal or some shit.
Dog, the brand is soaring right now, and we definitely out of here. We just got a whole different level of just like actual like we out of here, honestly. But man, yeah, it's 2:13 in the UK right now. So one time for the brother Krishan for fucking with us and hopping on the Draft Season podcast. We gotta get you back. We gotta get you back here on like definitely like on a lighter schedule. Not at 2 a.m. at night. But definitely for sure, man. It's been a great episode. Shout out to the brother Krishan. Krish, tell the homies, tell everybody where they can follow you. Tell the people about Clop In and all the great content that you guys put out.
Yeah, man. You can follow me on Twitter. I am at Christian_Mamba24. Yeah, we got some great stuff going on at Clop In. If you're a Liverpool fan, do tap in. We go live with our main podcast at 7 p.m. GMT, so that's about 2 p.m.
What does
Eastern.
GMT stand for?
Greenwich Mean Time. I have no idea what it means.
What did you just say? What did you just call my mama?
But yeah, we've got the live pod almost every week. We got the Patreon content as well. That's for that premium, that OnlyFans, that nasty Premier League stuff. But yeah, the Touchline Media Group are doing massive things at the moment. Every single club is covered. We got the main pod on a Sunday and all the individual club pods as well. So if you're a Chelsea fan, there's a Chelsea pod for you. If you're a Man United fan, there's a Man United pod for you, and so on and so forth. But yeah, man, just doing bigger and better things. And I appreciate you both for having me on the platform. Talk about NFL stuff. It's a joy. I love what you guys have done. Seeing what you've done over the past 12 months, it's really inspiring, man. So thanks for having me on.
Yeah, man, appreciate you. I get you back on here in the future, man. It's like I said earlier, long overdue. But the chemistry, we don't even got to talk about that. It was amazing. So shout out to you, Chris. Denzel, my brother, once again, we got to get you on here some more in the future as well, brother. Appreciate you again dropping these knowledge, bringing us some legitimacy. Denzel, tell the people where they can follow you. Tell the people, all the good stuff. If you got any fuego takes you want to leave the people before we get out of here, now is your chance. But once again, appreciate you again, my G, for giving us this legitimacy.
Follow me on Twitter at easy_does_it_34. I need to change that.
A lot of underscores, bro.
Way too many underscores. I need to change that. I left it for too long. But I don't got nothing too scorching right now. Just getting ready for the draft on Thursday.
Yeah, man. Nah, we might gotta figure. We'll let you guys.
We might have to have
we got more content coming for you guys. Surely, be on the lookout. We give you guys a second episode this week tomorrow. So definitely check out the live feeds because we back at it tomorrow. And like you said, make sure you check out our Draft Season podcast. You subscribe to the YouTube page. Black Twitter's #1 fantasy sports podcast. We definitely in the building. Shout out to everybody listening on the Periscope. Shout out to the homie Mark. Shout out to everybody in the comments. Raz, take us out, my brother. You already know the deal is.
So, I mean, one thing I'm going to leave y'all with, Russell Westbrook, triple doubles on the betting line was minus 222 today. That's how ridiculous he's playing right now. I just want everyone to understand that triple doubles was minus 222. But other than that, this is the Draft Season podcast. You know where to fucking find us. Please like, subscribe, YouTube, all the podcasts, all of that, man. It's been out. We'll see y'all this week, man.
Be out of it, man.